Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob Ent Podcast, the best podcast in New Jersey. We got the big three to start off tonight. We are talking everything from NFL, what happened last week, going into week 10, how Lamar looked, how the Cowboys look. And of course, NBA is back. So we're going to start off with some of our takes from the first couple of weeks of what we're seeing from the league. And of course, we have to touch on the most recent comments. LeBron, is it LeBron, the culture, or is it Heat culture? What is it that really was a part of that success right there? But before we even get into that, big three, Greg, Mr. Hot Takes, the Beach and Mother Sins Mayor, the Bernie Mac of sports podcasting. How you doing tonight?
Bernie Mac. I'm good, bro. I'm good. It's a lot of sports to talk about. I'm excited.
Miles, Mr. Smooth Operator, money making Miles. How you doing?
I'm feeling good, yo. The Knicks, we back. We're hot again.
Hey,
Bing bong.
It's two in a row.
Bing bong.
It's three?
Nah, that's two in a row now.
Oh.
I absolutely love that y'all clamped up Wemby and helped him have a rookie moment of realizing it ain't gonna be 38 every night. It ain't sweet like that. Especially being that he kind of like downplayed MSG, was like, it's not as big as I thought. It's kind of small. Welcome to MSG. Now you got overrated chants going on at MSG.
Oh, he did.
And it was funny, the French broadcast had it on the French TV, and they translated. It was like he's been baptized into the Nick culture now with the overrated chants. Welcome to the league, Wemby. Welcome to the league.
Yeah.
Now, what happened last week, we was not able to hop on and talk about it, but you know for sure we are going to talk about it. And for those that's listening, we appreciate you. We want to get 2 bags, of course, but the better product is on YouTube. So go check us out on YouTube, subscribe there, leave a review, share with your baby moms, your uncle, your cousin. Shoot, you could share it with your great-great-great-grandfather. As long as they see, we good. Hit that subscribe button. James Harden now is a Los Angeles Clipper. Start off with this. Before we even talk Clippers and what they're looking like, are the 76ers better off without him, and is this sustainable? Because right now they're off to a 6-1 start. Tyrese Maxey averaging 25-plus points. Joel Embiid is averaging 31 again, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. Is this actually sustainable, seeing these Sixers as the number 1 seed?
100%. 1,000%. Yeah, they're better off without James Harden. I mean, you could argue that they should have given the ball to Tyrese Maxey earlier. This should have been happening last year. You didn't even need to make the acquisition in the first place. I see why you did it. James Harden was a special player when he's right and he's engaged, but Tyrese is special. Tyrese is a special player who's going to be an all-NBA guy for the next 10 years, however long. So I'm really excited for him and where his career is headed. And playing with Joel Embiid, it makes the game so easy for him. Playing it out of pick and roll, he can shoot. There's nothing he can't do as a player. Is he an all-time great? I'm not saying all that, but he's an all-star, perennial all-star in the NBA, and a guy who works hard enough to merit this kind of opportunity as the lead guard for a playoff team and a team that's trying to win a championship. The Sixers are in a situation where they have to make a trade regardless to compete with the heavy hitters. I don't know that they can beat Boston in a 7-game series. I know they beat Boston the other night, and I know it's because Jason Tatum had one of them nights. He had one of them Jason Tatum type nights that I hate so much from him, where he's just really inconsistent. But they're going to look to make a trade. I mean, I don't know if they'll be able to pull it off. We'll see how the trade market develops. I think there'll be a lot of teams in the market to try to add star players, but as currently constituted, if you're asking if they're better, and the question is, are they better without James Harden? Undoubtedly so. Tobias Harris still a solid player in the NBA, getting more touches. I like him getting touches. Kelly Oubre has been great since he's gotten there. I don't know how he signs a 1-year deal. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me how Kelly Oubre gets a 1-year deal and goes out there and just balling out. He's too good of a player to have gotten a 1-year deal.
17 points per game right now, man.
Yeah, it's a steal. It's a steal. I mean, and there's a lot of guys like that in the NBA. Lonnie Walker, him, a lot of these 1-year deal guys. I mean, it's crazy where we are in the NBA right now, where some of these talented dudes getting 1-year deals and they're obviously out there producing. So I'm really excited to just see how the season goes for them. But I think that they have to make a trade regardless. But they are better off without Harden. And Harden seemed to have a problem passing the ball to Embiid, and he has ego issues. You know Harden. You know how I feel about Harden. Everybody who listens to this podcast know how I feel about Harden. He's the worst. So you just get him addition by subtraction. You could have traded him for nothing, and that would have been better. And that's just the way I feel about it there. Chris is funny.
Hey, Miles, for you, right? What do you think about the Sixers squad, especially, you being a Knicks fan in the East? Are they still, you think, obviously they don't want to see right now, are they a top three seed? You thinking top 2 seed by the end of the year? Or is they going to end up dying down?
No, I think this is a top 3 seed. When you're looking at the East as constructed, everybody knows Boston is probably going to finish number 1. You're going to have the Bucks right up there, Dame, Giannis, Middleton still there too. That's still a really good team. But Philly, they got deeper with getting rid of, Harden and allowing other players to shine. Like Tobias Harris was able to play a little bit more. Who else? Like he said, Kelly Oubre, he's another one who, for some reason, it doesn't make sense, the 1-year deal. But from the jump, I think even game 1, he had like 28 points in that season opener. So he's a really good player in this league, and those are those free agency signings that teams need to fill out their roster. And sometimes you get a steal like that. So shout out to Philly for doing that. And they still got Embiid. Embiid's the reigning MVP. I think he's still that caliber player at this point. I mean, this year he's been balling out for the most part, and now Maxi's getting a little more time to shine now that he doesn't have to play second fiddle on the ball to Harden. So, yeah, I think this team, they're set up pretty good. Doesn't make me feel good though, because I was hoping that they would kind of suck and then Embiid would ask out. But if they're going to be this good and he's happy, I think he can, he'll stay a little while.
Now on the Clippers front, since Harden has been there, they have 2 losses. They've lost to the Knicks. They've lost to Brooklyn. In the Knicks game, he has 17, 2 turnovers, 6 assists, 12 points, 5 turnovers, 5 assists against the Nets. What can be done for this to actually work, or is it bound to just not work at all with this starting 4?
I think you can't have all 4 of those guys starting. Which one? I mean, Kawhi and PG are locked in. So that would mean between Harden and Russ, they got to come off the bench. One of the two.
One of the two.
I would vote for
off the bench, Miles. Damn well.
The realistic person is Russ, but who it should be, maybe Harden. Humble yourself a little bit, but this Clippers team hasn't looked good in these last 2 games. I mean, from what I've seen, Harden, dribbles too much. The passing, there's clearly no, what's the word? They're not gelling yet. And it takes time for that to happen, but it's too many guys, too many cooks in the kitchen. Like Kawhi talking after the game, saying like, oh, I'm going to have to try to find my spots when I can, is crazy to me. Like, he's your best player on the team, and he's having to, stay hot when he's not getting regular touches each quarter. It doesn't make sense to me. So this was like a last-ditch effort for them to salvage this Kawhi, Paul George pairing in LA, but I didn't think they needed to make a move. I think if those guys stayed healthy, that team was really good, regardless of any moves that they could have made. So Harden, it's like an embarrassment of riches. You saw an opportunity to trade for somebody and you took it. Steve Ballmer, he's always been big game hunting. So I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he was like, all right, maybe we can make a last chance push at a chip with these guys. But they all got 1 year left. Like Kawhi has 1 year after this. Paul George has 1 year after this. Like, this is it. I don't really see this moving past this year, honestly. And Harden's going to be a free agent after this year. So unless they're going to re-sign him and give him the max deal that he wants, This is their last dance.
Yo, I'm gonna just say this before you move on. So I don't know if you were going to, but people have underestimated the power of like how team-oriented basketball is. And it's so hard, from a coaching perspective, to coach a team where guys aren't bought in or guys think that their role should be expanded more than it is. And when you have four big egos in a team like that, four guys who think they're the best player in the world, they're the best player on their respective team. And Paul George notwithstanding, I mean, obviously he took a back seat and he bought in, but Kawhi, right? Kawhi being the best player and he's second guessing where he's going to get his shots. This just because you add talent to your team doesn't mean you're guaranteed anything. Just because you add a bunch of good players to your team doesn't mean you're guaranteed a thing. Sometimes you're better off having two great players and a bunch of great role players around them who fit in key positions around those guys and can make those guys better and accentuate what those two guys do well, or three guys and the rest of the guys can accentuate what those three guys do well. But having four guys with those kind of egos, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's simply. There's no chance. I really don't see it. And Paul George is cooking. Like he's on a heater this year. And you see him take a step back because of the addition of James Harden. It's crazy. Like you're messing with something that was actually pretty special. And Kawhi was on a heater. Kawhi's playing games. He's actually showing up to work. Like for once, like he might not want to come to work no more because you got James Harden over there. Like he might be like, yo, man, I'm gonna go home. It's really a terrible thing they've done. And for Tyronn Lue, it puts him in a really unfair position where he gets to try to manage all these personalities. And it's not that he can't do it, but it's just a really hard job for anyone to do. For anyone, because Harden still thinks he's that guy. Harden said he is the system, right? Miles alluded to it. So, when you have that kind of situation, him walking in there and they were already had something special brewing this season, you're taking away all the team camaraderie away. And someone has to go to the bench to love out the bench. You can't have all four of them starting. You can tell Tyronn Lue's doing it to keep them all happy, right? He doesn't want to upset Russ because we know when Russ get upset, we know what it looked like. The ball going off the side of the backboard, the ball going to the shot clock. We know what it looked like. We got film when Russ is not happy. So, and people told me when Russ wasn't playing well because he wasn't happy with the Lakers. So, you know what I mean? But it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation for the Clippers right now, and I don't like the deal. I think that Ballmer is just too he's just big game hunting, like Miles said, and it doesn't work in this league. It does not work. It does not guarantee you anything. And just like the Suns, we're going to be writing their eulogy real soon. And so that won't be the first time you hear that word on this podcast. By the way, I did a little hint there. But yeah, we're writing the eulogy real soon. So yeah, I mean, it's tricky. It's tricky.
Hey, we're going to switch it up. We're going to go to some of this football talk because CVO has entered the building. But before we transition into the football talk, the Clippers, I think it can work one way only. I was listening to a couple podcasts, and it makes sense. They need to have an offense where they're getting as many possessions as possible. Like, go try to score 125, 130 points every single night. That way, all of them are getting their touches. All of them's getting the rock. That means y'all got to be in a little bit better shape, and y'all running every after a basket missed. Y'all going to try to get as many possessions as possible. And Greg could attest to this being the coach. They got to move. It's been too many plays with Harden there that we see is one person with the ball and they're watching. There's no cutting. There's no ball movement. That's not going to work. And the last game, to give credence to the whole Kawhi situation, Paul George had 20 shot attempts. Harden had 9 shot attempts. Russ had 18 shot attempts.
That's ridiculous.
Kawhi had 16. So out of that big three, not including Harden, out of that big three, Kawhi had the least amount of shot attempts between him, Russ, and Paul George. And nobody really has an issue with Paul George having more shot attempts, especially this season. But Russ had more shot attempts than Kawhi. And I've been a defendant of Russ, but that's not it's not going to work that way at all.
Tone, before you move on, I'll say this. their pace is terrible. They don't play with pace. Yesterday against the Nets, they played at a snail's pace. Against the Knicks, they played at a snail's pace. That game was moving. It worked right into the Knicks' hands, right? You want to play this Sandman offense and move at a snail's pace against a team like the Knicks. They're going to literally choke you out because they're grittier than you. They get offensive rebounds. They're bigger. They're tougher than you. And the Nets out-toughed them last night too. You know what I mean? You can't play that way. You guys are a team based on finesse. Right, so I see what you're saying, but good luck being a Showtime Lakers type offense with Fat Man as your point guard. I don't see how that works.
I was about to say, when's the last time a Harden-led team played with any pace?
It never.
Yeah,
it's never been.
Happened. They don't play with pace.
No,
that's the thing. Ty Lue he'd have to make that tough move for it to move with pace. Harden would come off the bench. Harden would have to come off the bench. You could play that slow man basketball with the second squad. Because they need somebody. They need somebody with that on the second squad too. Because honestly, and we'll transition. They shouldn't have got him. They actually looked good this season.
Yeah.
Without Harden. Because looking at the bench too, Bones Highland is getting up and down. So it don't make sense. And honestly, we say Russ got to take that back seat, but imagine a lineup with Russ and Bones Highland. That's nobody's getting shots up. That's turnovers.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say it was a positive spin. I'm waiting for you. I'm like, hold on. I don't know what you're trying to say. No, he's a big Russ guy. So
no, there's no way about that. There's no way about that.
Yeah.
Now we got CBO in the building. We got to talk. Football has been popping. It's getting close to playoff time. Most teams have now played 8 or 9 games, which means they're halfway through the season. The Bengals off to that slow start, but we all said if Joey B was healthy, that's a team you don't want to mess with. Looking at the AFC specifically, the Ravens are 7-2 on a 4-game winning streak. The Bengals are 5-3 on a 4-game winning streak. Chiefs are 7-2. Jags are 6-2 with a 5-game winning streak after that slow start. Who do y'all think is the favorite in the AFC to win it?
Y'all go ahead, man. Go ahead. Let me hear this. Cause I'm curious.
I would say the Chiefs still. I think they got Mahomes, best quarterback in the league, hands down.
Hands down.
Okay,
so no, I
know Chris might say it differently.
Joe Burrow.
Until I said Joe Burrow's amazing. Joe Burrow's
amazing. He's probably
really,
2 or 3 in the NFL. So
3 better than Joe Burrow. Besides Pat.
He trolling.
Don't say Hurts. This Hurts thing, this man crush on Hurts gotta stop. It gotta stop.
Man crush on Hurts?
You gotta stop.
He would have been MVP last year. I'm not even gonna get into it because you're distracted.
Don't do that, bro.
At hand. The question at hand. So I was gonna say the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFCs or the AFC. Jesus, I'm still distraught over Monday night. Clearly, Mahomes is playing at another level. Of course, they had a down game against the Broncos, but I mean, when I'm sick, I don't do well. But for them to still not really miss a beat, missing, guys dropping passes, only guy to throw to is Travis Kelce. He's doing a great job. So that's who I'm going to say is going to win the AFC. Well, should be the favorites.
Chris, I'll go before you because you said you want to hear both of our opinions. So I'll say this. I think that the Bengals are the best team in the AFC. That's my pick. I ain't saying it because of Chris. I ain't got no allegiance. As you could, and people don't know what goes on behind the scenes in the group chat. You trying to get smart with me talking about the Giants and all that. I didn't appreciate that. I could easily say something different than what I'm saying, but I genuinely believe the Bengals are the team to beat. The Bengals have the great defense in place already. Their offense is coming along. Their offense is coming along at this point. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins is getting more involved in the offense. They have a run game. Their offensive line is playing at a high level, and Joe Burrow's back. He's driving off that back foot, and he's healthy. I've seen enough. They're the most complete team in the AFC to me, and they have the best quarterback on the best complete team in the AFC. The Chiefs aren't a complete team, in my opinion, solely because of their wide receiver play. It's just at a minus. It's not that good right now. And that can come back to bite them. They can get a bit one-dimensional at times. They run the ball well. They have a great defense. It's going to keep them in games. But if those two teams played right now, I think that the Bengals would beat them. That's just my personal opinion. Because I think the Bengals are a more complete, well-rounded football team, special teams, defense and offense all working together. And then you have a great quarterback there. I think it's their year because he's healthy now. I didn't think he was healthy before, and that's why I wasn't like I was tentative about where I was going to go with the prediction about the Bengals. But because they're healthy now, and because of who Joe Burrow is an incredible processor of defenses in a way that most quarterbacks in the NFL aren't. And the only person who rivals him is Pat Mahomes, and I think he might be like he's right there with him. At that. Like I just have so much respect for the way he plays the game, the way he can read defenses. I appreciate great quarterback play because I haven't been watching great quarterback play for the last 5 years on my own team. So I just appreciate it when I see it. And that guy's a great player, a Hall of Fame guy, gold jacket type guy. And so is Pat Mahomes. But I just think that this year it's their turn.
Hey, before Chris goes, I just want to give Chris flowers because we do that on the show. Chris predicted correctly that T. Higgins would have a breakout game against Buffalo. We would see T. Higgins return against Buffalo. 8 catches, 110 yards, his first 100-yard receiving game of the year. And to Chris's point, if T is going with Jamar Chase, boy, it's going to be really scary for some teams.
Yeah.
T is out for a few weeks.
He's out for a few weeks.
He has to water on it. You see? I want to know who's better than Joe Burrow. I want to know why. If Joe Burrow is 3, who's 2? That's what I want to know. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm not cutting you off. I just want to know what he's talking about.
You're good.
I'm curious.
You finished, Miles? You finished?
I'd love to know.
I said I was talking about T. Higgins. He's out.
Y'all see it right here. Who the best team in the AFC is? Y'all see it right there.
Bengals chain is crazy.
The Bearcats?
He said the Bengals chain is crazy. Nah, the Bengals chain is nice. But not he said Bearcats. You funny. To Greg's point, Greg hit on a lot of the things that the Bengals are doing well that makes them a viable team in the AFC. But I think, one of the things that separates the Bengals from not necessarily the Chiefs, but definitely the Ravens is they've done it and they have a history of doing it these past few years on a consistent basis, right? They've shown that they can show up in big moments. Check Joe Burrow's record in primetime games. You know what I mean? He's been balling at a really, really high level. And I think this team's complete. It's complete now. And you didn't feel that way at the beginning of the season when Joe Burrow was hurt and looking like a shell of himself because he couldn't move. And that wasn't his fault, right? And now that he's healthy, he's showing, he's the same old Joe Burrow. He's got that competitive fire. He makes the right play. And I think if we talk about Pat Mahomes and how good he is, and we're comparing him to Joe Burrow and how they're neck and neck, the one thing that I prefer with Joe Burrow is he makes the right play. He makes the smart play. He doesn't take unnecessary risks. He doesn't have, I think he has maybe 2 interceptions all year. He's just playing at a really, really high level. And a good example of kind of, how people always talk about, Jamar Chase, right? That's the first name you bring up. And when you think about Bengals wide receivers, Jamar Chase didn't have a great game against the Bills the other night, and we still found a way to win. Joe Burrow spreads the ball around, and he does that really well. And that just comes from the trust that he has in this group of guys that he works with. 2 of our tight ends who haven't scored all year, we had 2 tight ends score against the Bills. He spread the ball around to Tyler Boyd, who had amazing catches downfield, crunch time catches. And then you talk about T. Higgins having his first 100-yard game of the season, coming off that broken rib. That was huge for him. And I'm sure that got his confidence going too. Now he's dealing with a little hamstring issue, but questionable for Sunday, but he should be all right. But yeah, man, I think the Bengals are the most complete team in the AFC. And that's not just speaking from a fan perspective. When I look at the Ravens, right, when I think about the Ravens and who they played this year, they haven't really played anybody. They beat Houston. Okay, cool. That was week 1. They've played Indianapolis. They've played, Pittsburgh, which they lost, by the way, 17-10. They played Cleveland earlier on. What's up?
They lost to the Colts too, by the way.
They lost to the Colts, right? I mean, their latest wins have came from Tennessee back in week 6, Detroit, Arizona, who's not a great team, and then Seattle, who they rolled on last week. You know, they really haven't played a playoff caliber team.
Who'd they play week 2?
Week 2?
Yeah, who'd they play?
They played us. But what did I just say? What was Joe Burrow doing? He couldn't move, bro. He was a shell of himself. And we only lost by 3, and we had the lead late going into that game. We lost by a field goal. I don't trip over those games. We didn't get rolled up on. You know what I'm saying? That was a competitive game. If Joe Burrow was healthy, it would have looked like a different outcome. You know, what did we do last year against the Ravens when we played them twice?
All right, there you go. Get in your bag. Get in your bag.
Yeah, come on, Miles. You over here watching the Jets. You need to look. I got room. I got room on my couch, bro.
It don't look like it.
I got stupid. But nah, man. I think this is. I look. I hope everything Greg is saying is right, man. I hope this is the Bengals' year. I hope they continue to ride this wave. You know, they're on a 4-game win streak right now. Could make it 5 this week. So let's see what they can do.
CJ Stroud is him. That's gonna be a game. I'm gonna watch that one. That's the game I'm watching in the 1 o'clock window for sure.
Before we even pick our winners for that game, now you just mentioned the Bills. So looking at the playoffs right now, the playoffs started today. The Bills are not in the playoffs. Steelers are the 5 seed, 5-3. The Browns are 5-3. By the way, the AFC North is looking like the best division in football.
It's been that way. It's been that way. People talk it. No, I'm not. That's real. That's real. People talk about it year after year. The Bengals. I mean, the AFC North is the toughest division in football. Yo, when you think about it, you go back. You know, several years when Ben Roethlisberger was still playing. Joe Burrow had just came in the league. Lamar Jackson, and then at the time you had Baker Mayfield. But the defenses in those divisions, hard-nosed hitting defenses for years, brutal.
Bengals are 5-3, and the Bills are 5-4. Are the Bills going to miss the playoffs this year? And if they do, what does that say about the Bills and Josh Allen?
Yo, Tone, I called you how many weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, right? What was the reason for my call? The reason for my call was because we had some troll in the comment section talking about, oh, and it's dudes like this wearing glasses, you know, talking about Josh Allen over here sucking Josh Allen, right? What did Josh Allen just do this past week against Joe Burrow? Threw another interception. He's a turnover machine. He gets greedy, and yo, he's fallen off. I'm telling you right now, he's fallen off. He's not the same player that we once saw last year. He has good games here and there, you know, where you know you cannot talk about it, right? And then the next week we're talking about it again. They're missing the playoffs this year. It's not the Bills' year.
Bills, Josh Allen's play has declined greatly, and I think that's part of what it boils down to. Matt Milano loss is a big one for their defense. That's definitely affected them, but the defense is still playing at a high level. It's just Josh Allen makes the critical mistake in games every time to put him out of reach, you know, in these big games. He doesn't match up with the Mahomes and the Burrow. He's not in that class right now because he's just not taking care of the football in critical moments. I kind of think, and I also the concern we've had with the Bills for years is that they put too much responsibility on him, and they don't run the ball enough, and they haven't ever really established a good running game. Like the Bengals can go to that if they want to. They can just ground and pound all day, right? But this Bills team has not established that. They're throwing guys out there like Singletary. I know he's not there anymore, but now it's Cook and other guys like that. They just
who only rushed for 8 times against the Bengals, by the way. Josh Allen dropped back 46 plus times.
Which has been the story.
That's too much.
The story of his career. And when Daboll was there, I think that part of his success with him was that they kind of balanced it out a little bit more. Or at least what they did was they had more design quarterback runs in there. So that way, you know, he wasn't dropping back to throw every single time. You know what I mean? Because you're just more liable to make a mistake dropping back 50 times in a game. That's way too much on your quarterback. I don't think it's a question of talent. Obviously, we know he's the most physically talented quarterback in football, I would say, maybe besides Mahomes. I think there's like 1 and 2. And I think Allen's more physically talented. But yeah, I think that's a big detractor here. It's just they put too much on him. That's been the problem forever. And you have to establish a run game in that division, in that conference, to give yourself a chance. And they're not balanced. They're not a balanced offensive attack, and that's the big problem. So Yeah, they're not serious right now. They'll make the playoffs though. I don't think they're going to miss it. I do think they'll win enough games. But playing the Jets again, we'll see. It's about what you do with Zach Wilson. Are you going to let him burn you? Is Aaron Rodgers back by then? I don't know. Aaron Rodgers seems to be making a miraculous. We'll talk Jets. I'm sure we will. We'll get there. But
For what?
I think they'll get in. I'm sure Miles going to be decent. You know that. For what?
If the Bills make it, who are you saying out of that squad of teams to miss it? Are we looking at, you feel me? Are we looking at the Steelers possibly as that team that drops out? Because the Browns with their defense, they should still win enough games. And then the Bengals, we just talked about them. They are a favorite to possibly win the whole thing.
So, Tone, I would say right now the Steelers, and this is a conversation we can have about the Steelers, but
on the couch tonight, you know that.
Yeah, it was destined anyways. I'm kidding, but no, I'm not. But the Steelers, with them, it's the quarterback play, and my wife will acknowledge that she's upset about the quarterback play. She's very upset. It's just not good enough. And Matt Canada calling plays doesn't help him. But I do think that because we focus on Matt Canada so much, we're not focused on Pickett. Pickett's missing Pickens by miles. But Pickens be wide open. He's just missing him. The quarterback play isn't good. And this is the point I was making to her, and you can put this as a poll, whatever. But I would much rather be where a team like the Giants are, where the Bears are, than be where the Steelers are. Where the Steelers are going to win 7, 8, 9 games every year. And it keeps you in a perpetual cycle of having the same players that were there because you just justified because we won 9 games with Pickett. Well, with a great quarterback, you could win a Super Bowl, but you can't get one in football without being bad. It's just the way it works. You have to be historically bad. Cincinnati, historically bad to get Joe Burrow, and that saved the franchise. That's how it works. The Jet situation is a one-off. It does not happen that often where a guy of Aaron Rodgers' stature gets moved to be a free agency or to be a trade. It was trade because he has to be traded. It doesn't really happen in football. We're not talking about the NBA. There's player movement's not a big thing. So you have to be bad. So I'd much rather be a bad football team than be a middling football team where I win 9 games. I'm just on the cusp of getting into the playoffs. But I might get in or I might not. But if I get in, I'm bounced in game 1. That doesn't make any sense. So it's a tough situation for them. So I'm going to say them. I think they'll plateau. I think the quarterback play is going to come out to bite them. I think the defense is great. It could get them into the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. The defense is amazing. But I just feel like for them right now, you're going to need some big throws from Pickett down the stretch. I just don't know if he has it in him. And that's my concern with that football team. So them.
Yo, real quick before we move on, you be watching Steelers games with Ariana every week?
I'll watch them. Yeah, I'll watch them. I tuned in to what's going on with them. I have no choice but to be. So I'm very aware of what's going on.
Steelers hoodie.
Hey, so you guys kind of alluded to it earlier with the quarterback talk of Burrow and who's number 2, who's number 1. Right now in Vegas, the MVP odds is between Lamar, Jalen Hurts, and Patrick Mahomes. Who would be y'all MVP up until this point if y'all had to choose?
I mean, you're gonna go off a record. I know Miles will pick Hurts. Miles will bleed green. So he'll pick Hurts. You love him some Jalen Hurts. For me, I think you can make a case for Hurts. You certainly can. He's been good. He's been good this season. Good to great. And I threw great in there, Miles. So don't have a heart attack. I'm not. Isn't it, yo? But I think Lamar deserves serious consideration. New offensive coordinator. Just having to learn a new system, playing point guard in that system, taking care of the football. I know they've lost some games to some teams they shouldn't have lost too early, but it's an adjustment with the new offense. That's just the case, right? And he to smack up on the lines like that, coming there and they're hot like that, and they're going to have some big primetime games. He's going to have an opportunity to earn this MVP. But I mean, I think that's the way I look at it there, where it's like that team is complete. And it's him running the show, playing point guard for them, and I gotta respect that as well. You can make a case for Patrick Mahomes always. And with the Jalen Hurts aspect of it, I just think that AJ Brown's having an historic season. Someone's gotta give him the ball, and he's doing that, and he deserves credit for it. But you can make a case that AJ Brown, what's his name, Brown deserves some MVP consideration, right? So when another guy on your team can get MVP consideration, I'm gonna take that away from you a little bit. I'm just being real. He plays on an incredible football team, the best constructed football team of my lifetime. They should win a Super Bowl, that Eagles team. That does not take away from how good of a player Jalen Hurts is. He's a part of their success, a big part of it. But if I'm looking at it, I think Lamar is a major conductor of what they do over in Baltimore, just like Jalen Hurts is in the Eagles. I'm being very careful about my words here, but I just feel like Lamar deserves that consideration for sure. In the receiver room is not even that great. Zay Flowers is best receiver. Odell looking every bit of 30 at this point. So you got to give him some credit. You got to show him some love in this MVP conversation.
Hey, before we go, I think the thing with Odell, you guys got to remember, which we kind of stated on the show, that it would kind of be an up and down season. He shouldn't be playing this year. Remember, he was supposed to take a year off, but Baltimore threw the bag. He was considering taking that. You said
take a year off to recover?
Yeah, he wasn't getting offers, and Odell mentioned he was like, all right, I'll sign the contract, but it'll be a 2-year. That first year, I'll just take time off to recover, get ready, get back in the game. I don't think he's supposed to be playing this year anyway, but he couldn't pass up on that type of bag from Baltimore. I'm not going to say he's washed completely. I don't think he's healthy. He shouldn't be playing. He didn't give himself enough time to really recuperate and get back to where he needed to be. But y'all tell me who y'all MVPs are, Mal and Chris.
Yo, ain't it funny how we was talking about Tua Tagovailoa being an MVP candidate a few weeks ago? Like, that was a real discussion that people were having.
He's exactly what I said he was, by the way. He exactly what I said he was. I was right about him the whole time. Daniel Jones' ass. I'll say that. But I should have never been throwing that comparison around. I will say that. But I am not reneging. I'm not reneging on what I was saying about Tua. He ain't got no arm. I'm not. He has a great anticipatory throwing skills. He's a good quarterback in the NFL. He is not great, and he'll never be great. That's the way I look at it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's
facts. Joe Burrow deserves MVP. Joe Burrow deserves MVP consideration. Joe Burrow deserves MVP consideration. He definitely does. I'm just gonna throw it out there. We didn't put him. He's not in the conversation right now. He will be by the end of the year, and he can easily win MVP. That's all I'm gonna say too.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. But he's not my first choice. I mean, obviously you got to go with Jalen Hurts where he's at right now, keeping Philly afloat. I mean, they've been in some dogfights too, right? And with the Commanders countless times, they've been in some close games that they may just really scrape out and pull it on top. And a lot of that's because of his play. And he's battling a knee injury that he's been playing through. So you got to give him credit for that too. But yeah, Greg hit the nail on the head. Lamar Jackson's playing well at a high level. Joe Burrow is really coming on now after this injury. So a few more games, you're going to hear his name start to be in the MVP conversation, especially if, the Bengals continue to stay on this win streak. And we have a favorable schedule coming up, right? The two games that, you would think they would get losses would be the 49ers or a tough game against the Bills, right? And they come out on top both games. So now, we're getting into a schedule where that looks kind of favorable for us until we see the Chiefs on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, I believe. So, all of those guys, the top quarterbacks in the league are the players that we're talking about right now for the MVP conversation. It's still early. There's 9 games left in the season. So, a lot of football left to be played.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Jalen Hurts, I feel like should be the front runner. He was the MVP last year before he got hurt. And now he's kind of picked right back up. Although he's thrown a little more interceptions this year, he's still accounting for over 22 touchdowns in total. And yeah, that number is higher because he does get the rushing touchdowns, but he's had a lot of games where he's had to keep this team in it. Like that Commanders game, the defense wasn't doing them any favors. Like their secondary has been kind of sorry this year. Like Bradbury hasn't been the same guy that he was last year. Or maybe he was. He just was on a really good defense. Slay has been banged up. So he's had to put on that clutch jacket a few games where he's carried that team back from a deficit or, kept pace with a team that's playing well against their defense. So, and they're 8-1. The only bad game that he's had really is the Jets game. And that's kind of like a blip in the radar. Like that team, that defense was just unreal that day. So Shout out to them. But the Eagles, they're the best team in football right now. It's like hands down. And he's the biggest part of that. Like you said, A.J. Brown, he deserves to be in the conversation. He's got 1,000 yards already. Elite. He's having a better year than last year. And he was great last year, which is incredible. But Jalen Hurts is putting the ball on the money every time. To him, to Goddard before he got hurt, to Devontae. Like he's a true floor general out there on the field. So
Talk about being a floor general, similar to Joe Burrow, the player who we're going to be talking about in a few weeks if their team is in a favorable spot to make the playoffs is CJ Stroud, right? They're 4-4 right now. Hopefully making a playoff push down the stretch. That'd be cool to see in his first year as an NFL quarterback getting the Texans into playoffs. If that happens, he's an automatic MVP candidate because the Texans are ahead of schedule by a long shot.
Hey, for some AJ Brown right now is 17th in MVP odds behind. This will eventually change, obviously, but he's behind Kirk Cousins, CJ Stroud, Tyreek Hill, Justin Herbert, Dak, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Trevor Lawrence, and Josh Allen currently. So MVP odds in Vegas. So right now, that's the situation with AJ Brown. Even Tyreek Hill is down on that list. So we've seen it year after year after year after year. MVP typically is a quarterback award. But Chris just mentioned, of course, CJ Stroud. Last Sunday, fun stat, 5-touchdown game, 470 yards passing. The 5 touchdowns he had in that one game is the same amount of passing touchdowns that the Jets and the Giants individually have for the season. He did it in one game. They go against the Bengals, 5-3. Who you got winning that game?
the Texans, he's about to light them up this week. It's about to be.
You sound stupid. You really sound stupid.
How? Did you see him last week? That boy is a problem.
He is.
I did. But you know what? He's also a rookie. And you know who's not a rookie? Lou Anarumo on the defensive side of the ball for the Cincinnati. He's going to throw things at CJ.
Lou Ferrigno? I don't know who that is.
Yo, shut up. Lou Anarumo.
Oh.
Defensive coordinator who's going to get a head coaching job probably next year. He's going to throw things at CJ Stroud to hopefully confuse him. I mean, look, we're a playoff team that's been a playoff team. We're going to come correct. CJ Stroud is amazing. We've seen it. We're all watching the same player, but rookies can be had, and he will be had.
I think CJ Stroud might be the best rookie quarterback I ever seen.
You know who's punching the air right now? Panthers management.
I mean, yeah, that was a blunder. And I mean, look, we can talk about Bryce Young. I'm sure we'll talk about Thursday night game a little bit in a minute and relevance is even though it's a terrible game, but it's a terrible game. But is that what Miles is referring to here?
No, I'm saying because it's impossible to make that comparison with CJ Stroud and Bryce Young right now because Bryce Young's in a worse spot completely. Like the weapons not that great, running game non-existent. So they're on an even playing field. But the weapons receiving wise is night and day. Like he has a tight end. He has 2 or 3 really good receivers on that team. He's got a line. Bryce Young is running for his life out there. So yeah, I get it. CJ is playing really good, and we got to give him his props. But knocking Bryce Young this early when he's on probably the worst team in football, which was the reason that he was the number 1 overall pick. And yeah, you're gonna say because you got the Tony Soprano's son playing quarterback for you guys, but
hey, well, hold on. I'm gonna just say, be careful about using situation as a way to justify who's better than who, or which quarterback's better than the other. I've done it for years. I've done it for Daniel Jones, and I'll tell you right now, elite quarterbacks can make your old line look good. If Aaron Rodgers is playing for the Jets right now, your sack numbers are way down because he's getting the ball out quick. He's getting the ball to his hot routes. He knows where he's going. He understands defenses. He can read. And CJ Stroud's understanding of how to process post snap is masterful for a rookie quarterback. He uses his eyes to move corners. He's doing stuff that guys who are 5-6 years into their careers don't do at right now. So I'm just saying, like, look, you put a 5'8" guy behind the line that isn't that good, you're taking your medicine right now with Bryce Young. He's not a big guy. And that's why, and in the chat, I told Chris, I'm like, no disrespect to Bryce Young, because he used Bryce Young as an example as to why. Well, I won't even go into all that because it was ridiculous. But Bryce Young isn't the athlete that CJ Stroud is, that Drake May is, that Caleb Williams is, right? That Josh Allen is, Justin Herbert. He's not that athlete. So that's what we're seeing. There's a different curve for a guy who's not an elite athlete playing that position. That's all I'm gonna say there. I just want to jump in and say that.
You think CJ Stroud is more athletic than Bryce Young?
Absolutely. I think he's more physically gifted. I don't know if athletic's even the word. I think he's more physically gifted. He's taller. He's getting gifted by God with things that allow him to play the quarterback position with ease, right? Like he just can see over defense. He's probably one of the best throwers of the football in the league already. He reminds me a lot of Joe Burrow. That's the comparison I'm drawing right now. He reminds me of Joe Burrow. The way he processes, the way he can layer the football, throw it over the second line defense, the way he processes, it's just an incredible thing to watch. He's really a maestro out there. It's incredible. So, best rookie quarterback I've seen in a very long time. More impressive to me than Cam. Cam was brute force that year. I mean, he played the quarterback the position the way he looked. And he made some throws. I don't want to go all there, but no, I mean CJ is playing the quarterback position amazingly right now, and I'll pick the Bengals in that game to stay on topic. I'll pick the Bengals, but I think CJ is going to play a great game.
Hey,
fire up the MVP chance. By the way, if CJ wins that game, fire up the MVP chance for real.
Hey, to your point, Sam Howell, 44 sacks. Zach Wilson, 31 sacks. Daniel Jones, RIP, 30 sacks. Russell Wilson, 26 sacks. And who's tied with him? Bryce Young, who kind of looks and similar to Russell Wilson in regards of the height being an issue and not being the biggest quarterback. Russ put on some pounds, but we talking about before.
Hey, it's great not hearing the Bengals at the top of this list this year.
Well, Joe Burrow reduced that number anyways. Even when your O-line had nobody on it, he still reduced that number because he's such a great thrower and throws the ball with anticipation, and he can see over defenses and process. Those are all things that matter, and you can throw from different angles. You ain't got to have your feet set to throw the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to have your feet and shoulders square to throw a perfect football, a perfect pass. That matters, yo. Like that stuff matters. I've been studying this quarterbacking stuff. I'm telling you, I've been frustrated for the last 5 years. So I understand what I'm looking for now in quarterbacks. I know what I've seen and what I need to have. I've been praying on it. God about to answer my prayers this year. I've been praying on it. So he about to deliver me, Caleb. You about to deliver me, Drake May. It's about to happen. I'm just about to deliver. I'm telling you, me and Jesus had a conversation about it. I'm about to get delivered, bro. I'm just saying, John.
Hey, next game, we got 2 games more to talk about. Browns 5-3, Ravens 7-2. We talked about both teams. We talked about how good that Browns defense is. And to add to that, last week, Deshaun kind of looked similar to Deshaun of old in Houston, not the Deshaun Cosby that we became to know. He has 19 of 30. He had 219 and 2 touchdowns. And whether it's Deshaun, whether it's the backup, whether it's a person working at ShopRite, the Browns have figured out what to do well on offense this year, especially once the running back went down. Get Amari Cooper the ball. I know the Cowboys miss him. Who y'all see winning this game? It's in Baltimore, by the way.
Oh, I'm taking the Ravens. That's just me. I'm taking the Ravens.
That defense is crazy this year.
Defense has been amazing. They barely allowed any touchdowns this year, barely allowed any yardage this year. Both defenses are great. It's going to be an ugly game, but I trust Lamar and I trust Deshaun. I think if you're going to, it's just a battle of quarterbacks here. I trust Lamar more than I trust Deshaun. Deshaun still has to earn my trust back. Just seen some shaky play from him since the start of the year. So I'm gonna go with Lamar.
Are you talking about solely on the field or on your trust back on and off the field?
No, I don't care about what he do off the field. He could be Dwight Howard for all I care off the field. For all I know, he linking up with Dwight Howard.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I'll change the subject though. I agree. I think the Ravens are the more dominant team in this. The way Lamar's playing, the way that offense is playing, defense is obviously playing well too. I think they only allowed two rushing touchdowns all year, which is insane. You got to give them props, man. They're playing good ball over there. And the thing that's different for me about their offense and how they're moving the ball downfield is their running game is effective. Gus Edwards has looked good, but last week that rookie stole the show. I forget his name, but he absolutely stole the show and played really, really good football. So it's not all on Lamar this year, how I felt like it's been in years past, and I think that's maybe been the difference.
Keaton Mitchell, by the way.
Keaton Mitchell, yeah, he played a great game. I think he had two touchdowns. Over 100 yards, look good.
Buck 38 on like 9 carries. He looked good.
He's going crazy.
And to your point, this, like you said, it should be a game early in the season. Baltimore put the hurting on and won like 28-3. But the top two teams in defensive yards allowed: Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens. So it should be probably a really, really good game this week, unless one of these teams just go crazy. Deshaun flips the switch, gets a massage, and goes off, or Keaton Mitchell has another big game. Lamar has a big game. We'll see. Definitely be a game that we'll be watching. Next game, because we have to. We could mention the Giants Cowboys, but I don't want to put Greg through any trauma. We try not to do that on the show, especially it being this month is towards mental health for men specifically. So because I love my brother, I'm not going to do that. We could talk about the Daniel Jones situation, but to actually pick who's going to win that game, I love my brother, and that would be insensitive to him and his mental health. Jets, Raiders, who y'all see winning this game? Because Jets are still in that playoff conversation, and the Raiders are still in the playoff hunt. Antonio Pierce comes on the scene. They get a big win last week. Again, not trying to bring up the Giants, but they get a big win last week. And the team, from everybody from Max Crosby to Devontae Adams, he's shimmying in the locker room bucket. They look as if they were freed off the plantation. They're just happy.
Yo, I think the Raiders come out on top. I do, and I think Max Crosby in that defensive line goes crazy and gets a lot of pressure on Zach Wilson, because everyone's watching the same tape, right? Everyone's seeing the same Jets offense out there. The Jets offense isn't confident in themselves. And as a defense, when you know that the offense isn't confident in going out there and scoring, you hear Garrett Wilson in the press conferences. You can see the look of defeat on his face. So if I'm Max Crosby, that excites me. If I'm the defense, that excites me, because I know that this team isn't even confident in themselves and they rely on their defense. Everybody knows they'll rely on their defense. Yeah, the Raiders offense is going to, have trouble probably trying to move the ball down the field. They're going to have to, force feed Devontae Adams, right? But you got to have hope going into that game, knowing that the offense can't really do much, and that Zach Wilson, damn well he's not confident in himself, especially when you're playing a good defensive front like the Raiders have. So what I've seen from Zach Wilson in this offensive line, there's glaring issues. Zach Wilson, we put a lot on this kid in terms of his performance and how he's played, but this offensive line does not look great. And Miles, I'm sure, can speak on it and attest to it. But a lot of the throws that I saw Zach Wilson making last game, he's backpedaling and throwing off of his back foot. He's not getting his feet set. He's throwing on the run because he's running out of the pocket every damn play.
Hey, we mentioned it early on the basketball front too. Like, even though the offense, you got Aiden O'Connell being the quarterback, Antonio Pierce already has talked about it. It's going to be a heavy dose, back like when it was the Cowboys. It was Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin. It's going to be a heavy dose of Josh Jacobs, 26 rush attempts last game. And Devontae Adams, 7 targets, only had 4 catches because we're talking about Aiden O'Connell. And to the point we mentioned earlier with Russ, you play better when you happy, when you got to go to work. Everybody, again, mental health. If you go into a place that you hate working at, how much production are you really expecting to get out of these people? They are happy. They've been told they aren't the father.
Miles, what do you think? Because I think that Zach only has one bad performance left before he's out of it, before he's not starting anymore. He has one left. Especially after the Michael K interview with Robert Saleh. I just think you have one left and you're done. But I'm curious to know what you think.
Yeah, we'll see. It's not, I don't get excited to watch him play football. I'll say that. But this defense is really good. I think if things went differently offensively, Chargers aren't putting up 27 points on this defense. I think they were on the field so long that just slowly got worn down. But I don't think this Raiders team, Aiden O'Connell, whatever his name is, he's in for a hell of a Sunday because this defense is elite. Like PFF, we're the number 1 defense right now in football.
Means nothing.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, do you have concern?
Josh, they about to go crazy, right?
Well, no, because they're gonna run the ball a lot, and you said that you told me that
I did, but
they're gonna run a lot at
looking at the numbers, besides the Saquon game where he ran it 80 times,
yeah,
nobody's really put over 100 yards on us. Well, that and Pacheco, that's it. Those 2 guys. So, yeah, you can run on this team a little bit, but I'm not a believer in this offense, and we're gonna sell out for the run because I don't believe in O'Connell being able to pass on this secondary. We got 2 of the best cornerbacks in the league. I think DJ Reed's number 1 on PFF as far as rating goes for cornerbacks, and that's not even the guy who was first team All-Pro last year. So, yeah, I think everybody's going to be talking about Zach Wilson, because he's the quarterback in New York and all that stuff. Bad game last week. Sure, I get that. But I feel like now they're going to try to simplify it, get the ball to Garrett Wilson, run it with Breece. Breece needs to touch it 25 times minimum this game. Because when he touches it, he gets loose. Like, that's the thing. There were so many plays on Monday night where he made a play and it got called back because of a dumb play by whether it's Lazard or Garrett Wilson or Billy Turner on the line. So, yeah, I could be a homer, whatever. I think my team's going to win on Sunday night.
So Sunday game, really?
Yeah. Sunday night.
I need more smoke for Hackett. I need more smoke for Hackett.
Blaming Hackett for this?
What do you want?
Blaming Hackett for this? Yo,
I think he's ass. Don't get me wrong. He's ass. No, he's not good at his job. I agree that he's not good. Zach is terrible at football.
I get that, but he's not scheming up plays to help Zach get the ball out of his hands quickly. Everything is 10 yards downfield. There's no.
So you want to throw screens? No routes. We're gonna throw screens. We're gonna.
I don't. But the answer is not to continue doing what you've been doing. That clearly hasn't worked and has clearly made Zach look like a fool. He's calling the same shit over and over. Excuse my language, Tone. He's calling the same stuff over and over again and expecting things to change. Like, yo, Zach Wilson should not be sitting back in the pocket while people are running 10-yard dig routes, post routes, comeback routes downfield.
I do think he has checkdowns he's not throwing the ball to, though. I just think
maybe so. But also Breece Hall isn't touching the ball like he should. He needs to touch the ball like what was it, week 1, week 2 when he ran for over 100 yards and went crazy?
Yeah.
He needs that consistent workload, and they're not giving him that consistent workload. I don't know what's going on in practice to make him not get that workload, but as bad as this team has been, you got to find an identity within the offense, and that starts, I think, with Breece Hall in the run game because he's proven he can take on that workload.
I don't disagree. I would just say that the quarterback, like I said, I've made this point, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record. Quarterback play changes everything, and when you don't have good quarterback play, and you potentially the worst quarterback in the league, well, Tommy DeVito's playing football, so let's be nice. He's not the worst, but he's one of them. And I think Miles can attest to it. At this point, I don't think Miles, you can run from it. He had a great moment against the Chiefs. It was nice. He's had some spots where he's looked pretty good, but for the most part, it's been horrible and tough to watch. And that Monday night game was really bad. And I just think that team is losing patience, and he's got one more bad game left. If he goes out there and wets the bed like he did against the Chargers, he's done. And he's not just done as the Jets quarterback. No. He's done, period. He's done. I don't know where.
So I think he's on a longer leash.
Maybe
I think the Jets
bad.
organization is really banking on Rodgers coming back this year.
That's stupid. And by the way, that is so dumb. If that man come back this year, you run the risk of him coming back. You do all the green lights. He gonna run out with the flag, all of it. He gonna plant the flag. He gonna run out.
No, he gonna be in shotgun.
Huh?
From the beginning, he's gonna be in shotgun. No movement.
Yeah. He gonna drop back out of shotgun. He gonna hit that left foot, and it's gonna test everything. It's gonna test his integrity. He might go down on that play.
He's not a lefty though. That's the thing.
I know that's not his plant foot, but it's not his plant foot. But when you throw, like, you launch off your back foot and you step onto that left foot. You do, and I'm just saying, like, it's just dangerous. He's old. He's old. Are you gonna trust this crazy hack who's talking about ayahuasca and all this bull? Like, yo, stop. He needs
might
to
be onto something.
Okay. So let's see how it goes, because I think this is just crazy.
He's not coming back then.
He's not. He shouldn't come back. They should stop him from hurting himself. He's out of control. I didn't even realize it was his left leg until the other day. It's remarkable what he's doing, but he ain't Bron. He ain't got those kind of genes. And even Bron, I come back from that in a year.
To Chris's point, no, I think there should be a conversation more when we look at these offenses struggling, looking at the offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
For example, in Buffalo, I think Ken Dorsey has some blame that should go towards him. It shouldn't just all be on Josh Allen. You're choosing not to run the ball. 6 attempts last game for Cook. You didn't even get a chance to let the run be established at all. And this is constantly every single game. Y'all said it. They put too much on Josh Allen's plate. They want him to be Superman so bad, but he's really Clark Kent. So, and even if he is Superman needs help. Even Superman needs help. That's just facts. Before we transition, we end off the show with our basketball talk, our takes from what we've seen these first couple weeks. You already kind of alluded to it. You are looking for the either the great white hope or the great light skin hope, and Caleb Williams or Drake May. Just talk to our listeners, our fans, about the current situation of the Giants. You touched on it. You'd rather be bad than be middle of the pack. Because if y'all win some more games, you ain't getting either.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Giants are fully aware of it. I think they got smart management in place. That's what makes me. That's what helps me get up in the morning. If we had Gettleman here or something like that, and he was gonna go win a pointless game in December, I don't know if I'd be able to make it through. But in all seriousness, I mean, Daniel Jones' career as a Giant starting quarterback is over. As a starting quarterback in this league is potentially over. He'll be a high-end backup for the rest of his career. I'm gonna just say to everyone who listens to this podcast, I've been waxing poetic about Daniel Jones. There were moments where he looked good. It fooled me. It completely fooled me. I was wrong. 100%. I've been studying the quarterback position a lot more, and I gotta have a better understanding of what needs to be done for a quarterback to be elite, to be considered elite in this league. Daniel Jones has not checked many of those boxes. Okay, I don't have to really go down the laundry list of what made him, what makes him not as good, right? I don't have to do that because I've done it before. I've said it before, but it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and for him not to get the opportunity to keep his job for the rest of these 9 games or 8 games that are left in the season, and have that tragic ACL injury, I really felt bad for him. Because I think the thing about Daniel Jones that Giants fans resonate with is the fact that he's like Eli Manning in his professionalism, the way he approaches the job day to day, the way he handles the media. He was built for New York. It was there from a personality standpoint. From a football standpoint, no, it is not. It's over. That's behind us. That phase is behind us. Accept it. Yeah, I would rather be a really bad football team in this situation than be a good one or be middling. I'd rather win 2 games in a draft class where I have Drake May and I have Caleb Williams, 2 elite athletes who can process defense, who are going to change your franchise in the next 10 to 15 years, both of them. Have an opportunity to get both of them than to be a team that just flirts with the playoffs and maybe gets in and we have to run them back the next year because we have no other options. This is the best thing that could happen to the Giants. It's a blessing. It's the best thing. I'm rooting for Tommy DeVito to go out there and be somewhat competitive, but for us to lose every game. And I can't wait to watch us continue to lose games. I think if you're a smart football fan, that's the way you should look at football because there's no free agency, there's no player movement. You're not going to trade for a star quarterback. It doesn't happen. So you got to be bad, and that's the way you get better, and that's the way you move forward. And if you're smart, you accept that. No one wants to lose, but in this situation, it's the way to go. It's the way to go.
Go get Kirk Cousins, man.
Shut up. Kirk ain't gonna play until middle of next year. And Kirk is a good player. Let me just say, I feel
Kirk
bad.
will get y'all in the playoffs.
I don't want that. I'm not going to win a Super Bowl with Kirk. Like, what does it do? What are we even talking about Kirk for? I have a chance to get Caleb Williams talking to me about Kirk. Caleb Williams and also let's do this real quick too. Caleb Williams crying after the game was a big conversation all week. I don't understand what we're talking about, guys. I don't get it. Him crying after the game with his mom. He should. I wouldn't have done it on camera. That's me. If I had to cry, I wouldn't do it on camera. But ain't nothing wrong with the dude crying. Y'all gotta let dudes express some emotion, man. That's why these guys be jumping off bridges and all this stuff or whatever. You know what I mean? Like for real, like that's why we have the suicide rate amongst men is crazy. And it's because y'all don't let dudes express their emotions. Dudes are supposed to be hard all the time. Yo, like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, for real, man. Go listen to some Drake. Let you guys go express some emotion. It's okay, man. Like, it's crazy. He can't be sad. It's his last go round. He's going to the NFL. He's not coming back. He goes to USC. I assume he loves USC. Who wouldn't love USC? The parties, everything about being at USC, being a college student at USC, it's an experience in and of itself. He can't win a Heisman. He can't play for any, but he might not play in a bowl game. I don't know if they probably will. I don't know.
I think that's what it was. It was the Rose Bowl. That loss, like, that was the nail in the coffin that they're not playing in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. So why would he not be upset? As hard as that guy works on his craft, he don't get an opportunity to play for those things in his last year with those guys. The best USC team he'd been on, the best team in college he'd been on, I would imagine, from a talent perspective. It ain't working. It's not going to happen for him, and it's unfortunate, and it's not his fault completely. So I don't like the discourse around him crying. It certainly won't hurt his draft stock. Y'all are trying to do anything to tear this guy down while y'all propping Drake May up. I see what's happening. Okay, I see the runaround. He's black. I know what y'all doing. It ain't gonna stop. It ain't gonna stop a team like the Giants. It ain't gonna stop a team like the Bears. It's not gonna stop a team like the Patriots from picking that guy number 1 overall, or the Cardinals, whoever picks number 1. It's not gonna stop him. I'm just letting you know. Y'all trying to get people to run around because he's black, and y'all want to prop up Drake May. And I think Drake May is great. I really do think he's great, but I don't like what's going on. This is nasty work. This is nasty work by the media. I see what y'all are doing. I'm hip to it. This guy's gonna be the number 1 overall pick, and he deserves it. He is a generational talent.
Though, if you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.